Now before we get into the video, I do want to say a massive thank you to today's video sponsors, and once again that is jerseyfifa.com. They really do help keep the content on this channel going, and they even sent me a free shirt which you can see on screen here. And as you can see, I got the new Manchester United home kit, and genuinely the kit really is top quality. I highly recommend their product. So make sure to get in a link in the description down below, and now if you use code JerseyFifa at checkout, you'll get 10% off your order. You get a great football shirt, and you help support the channel, which I really do appreciate massively. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel. I hope you all had a good weekend, but now the content is back. We are talking about the Madrid derby. Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid, Atletico Madrid versus Real Madrid, however you want to say it. And I just want to get straight into it and talk about the tactics. And I think today we're going to start off by looking at Atletico Madrid, because I'll be honest, they were really disappointing in this game and didn't offer much at all going forward, but I want to talk about some of the reasons why that was and why Real Madrid and Ancelotti deserves credit for nullifying the threat of Atletico Madrid. So, when Atletico Madrid attack, they use wing-backs like this in Llorente and Carrasco, and therefore a lot of the attacking threat for them comes from the width. And Ancelotti had a very simple but effective solution to that, and that was the fact that Valverde has a lot of lungs. Most of us have 2, this guy's got about 7. And for that reason, from a defensive point of view, he often dropped in as a wing-back, creating a back 5 in midfield with then Modric, Tchouaméni, Toni Kroos, and then Vinicius Jr. would drop in. And Real Madrid are basically set in their defensive shape of a 5-4-1 structure. And this massively nullified the attacking threat of Carrasco. So any time that he did get the ball in these areas out here, out wide, Valverde was there, and physically Valverde's a lot stronger. Carvajal could also help double up on him, and a lot of the time it just forced Carrasco to cut back in on himself, go inside, and then just sort of recycle the ball backwards. Now, from here, Atletico did have some success, particularly with Antoine Griezmann when he was able to drop into the pockets in between Kroos and Tchouaméni. That was sort of Atletico Madrid's best attacking threat, when Griezmann could get into these pockets and then play balls out wide in behind the defence. But apart from that, Atletico Madrid really struggled to really get into the game going forward. Something else we saw down the right hand side was Llorente, because we know Vinicius, he does do a job defensively, but he's not too keen on tracking back. He's not exactly going to track back and put a big crunching tackle in or really help Mendy defensively over here. So Llorente was occasionally able to power forward, and personally I quite enjoyed his battle up against Ferland Mendy, and it got him into a few decent positions where he was able to get here. But if you're then looking to cross the ball into the box, Griezmann and João Felix are never really going to do Militao and Alaba in the air. So again, Atletico did get into an okay position this time, but there still wasn't enough threat there for me. Now, someone who did provide a bit more threat, but the quality just lacked, was De Paul, because of his run from right centre mid into the box. Now, we know that Toni Kroos is a very good player, one of my favourite players of all time, but defensively, he isn't always the most switched on, and he certainly doesn't always want to track these runs into his own penalty area. And that did occasionally mean that De Paul was kind of able to make the run into this right-hand space, into the half space or the channel, whatever you want to call it. But unfortunately for Atletico Madrid, there was a combination of things. One, sometimes the pass just wasn't good enough, it'd go out for a goal kick, or the touch wouldn't be good enough, and then at other times, Real Madrid were just very good defensively, and they dealt with pretty much everything Atletico threw at them, but that really wasn't very much. And I think Atletico eventually, will it happen or not, I'm not sure. I think eventually they need to change the way that they play, because they offered so little going forward. They had a lot of the ball in this game, but so much of it was just back here, because they couldn't find a way to really threaten Real Madrid. Like I said, there were little pockets that they could exploit, but they just didn't do it anywhere near enough, and when they did, the quality wasn't there on the ball. And I just think eventually they've got to change the way that they play, because it's not sustainable. Because they just weren't very good at all, and if this is how they're going to play throughout the whole season, I struggle to see a way that they're going to get close to Real Madrid at the top of the table. Now, I might turn out to be wrong, but at the moment, I just don't see it, because they don't offer enough on the ball. They aren't dangerous enough. Whilst I was disappointed with what Atletico Madrid done on the ball, I was actually arguably more disappointed with their defensive side of the game, because this is what they're meant to be good at. This is Simeone's bread and butter. Atletico Madrid's setup wasn't right at any point, so they essentially sort of switched to a 4-4-2 in these situations, because they were very worried about the threat of Vinicius Jr., which meant Llorente would often drop in almost at right back, Felipe would come across to form a centre-back partnership with Witsel, Reinildo would push to left back, and then we've got De Paul on the right wing, and they were sort of pressed in the shape. It's not literally this, but roughly it kind of played out as this. So they're going to have their front two pressing, but Courtois was happy to step forward, play in between your two centre-backs, and now instantly we can see that it's a 3 versus 2. Real Madrid are going to win that battle 9 times out of 10, and that was the case. From here, Tchouaméni could then drop into this area here, get on the ball, play on the half-turn, and this allowed Madrid to get out from the back. Real Madrid, that is, sorry. Get out from the back, turn, and look to play the ball forward. And from here, they just overloaded in different areas. So one thing that we saw was a bit of a return to the old Madrid way, with Toni Kroos and Luka Modric both initially dropping really, really deep and wide in these areas, allowing the fullbacks to push forward. But it was where they pushed forward too, which was most important. So on the right hand side, Dani Carvajal then made quite an inverted run in behind Koke in the midfield, whilst on the other side, Ferland Mendy kind of kept his width a bit more, pushing forward down this side. But again, what we can see is they're going to outnumber Atletico Madrid in the centre of the pitch here. With Tchouaméni, Kroos and Modric, they're outnumbering Kondogbia and Koke. With Carrasco and De Paul, a little bit caught in no man's land really. And it allowed Real Madrid to get in behind Atletico Madrid's midfield. Another thing that we could sometimes see was Carvajal dropping deep, Modric would push further forward, and of course the same down the other side. Sometimes Mendy would be deeper and Kroos would be higher. But 9 times out of 10 it was Kroos dropping deep, and as the game progressed, Carvajal was deeper and deeper, allowing Modric to play further forward. And what it's done was allowed them to dominate and move the ball forward pretty easily, actually. When Real were dominating the ball, we saw a pattern that we tend to see very often when Valverde plays on the right wing, and that is that he is always looking to move inside, almost becoming an extra midfielder at times. And actually it allowed Modric to move really wide, so sometimes we were seeing essentially Vinicius and Modric playing as the wingers, and it allowed Valverde to come into these areas. And again, we can just see that even if Atletico move their shape really narrow, they're going to struggle to deal with the pure numerical superiority that Real Madrid have here. Because Rodrigo is dropping in, Valverde is, you then got Carvajal quite narrow alongside Tchouaméni and Toni Kroos. And they're all players that are very, very good on the ball. So if you give them the potential of either a 5 versus 2 or a 5 versus 4 situation, they're going to come out on top 9 times out of 10. And it allowed Real Madrid to get into these pockets of space here. And I just thought the whole game was too easy for them. Now, people that watch Atletico Madrid more often can perhaps correct me. I don't know if they're like this all the time. But this was just a really poor performance. They didn't seem to get close. And it made it far too easy for Real Madrid to move the ball through the thirds. And there was just no pressure on the ball. Now, what we associate with Atletico Madrid is passion and aggression. There was none of that, especially in the first half. The only passion they had was when the ref gave a decision and they were getting in his face. That was the only time they really showed any passion. In terms of on the football pitch, trying to defend against Real Madrid, they were just always half a yard short. They didn't really get close to them, and you can't afford to do that against these quality players. And we saw these quality players playing quality football for the goals, and we'll see it here. So here's the first goal here, and Valverde is, of course, as I was talking about, right wing, moving inside into centre mid. And we can instantly see 1, 2, 3 players up against just one Atletico Madrid player. Real Madrid have found the numerical superiority, and they're going to take advantage of that. So he kind of carries the ball across, and then rolls the ball out wide to the left, and is going to go out here to Ferland Mendy. Ferland Mendy is going to step forward onto the ball, but we can see now Real Madrid have got themselves into a nice position. To be fair, Atletico got themselves in quite a nice shape, and we can see that Vinicius and Rodrigo have swapped over. So Rodrigo is now left wing, and Vinicius Jr. is now the false 9 for this temporary attack. And the movement is very good. So what we see is Vinicius. So Vinicius is here initially, right, and he makes his darting run towards the ball in here. And look at Felipe. Felipe's body shape is now all wrong because he is engaging this ball towards Vinicius. Rodrigo plays the ball to Tchouaméni, and Tchouaméni plays a sumptuous ball. Tchouaméni is an incredible footballer from a defensive point of view. If he's going to add this and really develop this passing side of his game, which he is doing already since moving to Real Madrid, it might be curtains for the rest of football. What's the point? He could be a really, really phenomenal player. But in terms of this particular move, I think Vinicius Jr. deserves a lot of credit for his movement. Because look at Felipe here. His body position is now all wrong. Tchouaméni plays the ball over the top. Rodrigo runs onto it and finishes with a very good finish, actually. Real Madrid are 1-0 up. And then for the second goal, we can see Modric gets in behind this line here. Plays the ball wide to Vinicius. Vinicius gives it back to Luka Modric. And it's a simple 1-2. And again, poor old Felipe. Here. Now here. Body position, he's just been done. Simple as that. In terms of football terms, he's been done. And Vinicius has got into the box, takes a shot, hits the post, falls for Valverde on the rebound, who puts it into the back of the net. And it was just far too easy. It was all way too easy for Real Madrid. It never really felt like they got out of second gear. Now, in the second half, Atletico did apply a bit more pressure, kind of in this middle zone here. But it just was too little too late, basically. So we did now see them pushing a little bit higher, and it did stop Real Madrid's ball progression. They were now forced to play backwards. But by now it didn't really matter because they were already 2-0 up. And like I keep saying, I want Atletico Madrid fans, if you're watching this video, you may not be, but if you are, get in the comments down below and let me know. Do Atletico Madrid do this all season? If so, how is it sustainable? Because they offered so little on the ball, and then off the ball they just weren't there. They seem, like I said, they seemed more interested in fighting the referee. Now, in terms of Real Madrid, I didn't actually think this was a remarkable performance. It was nothing particularly special. Defensively, they were very solid and deserve credit. And Ancelotti deserves credit for the shape with Valverde dropping in at right wing back. That was very, very effective. Cruz and Tchouaméni done a good job in the middle of dealing with any overloads. But in terms of on the ball, this was nothing particularly special. Vinicius Jr. didn't have a great game. He seemed a little more interested in kind of riling up the crowd a little bit. Rodrigo done well, Valverde done well, Modric done well. But it was nothing special from Real Madrid. It was far too easy. Far, far too easy to beat Atletico Madrid. And that's got to be a concern for Atletico moving forward. Because like I said, at the moment, I don't see how Atletico are going to get close to Real and Barca at the top of La Liga. As for Real Madrid, another win. What more can you want, really? I do think eventually the performances need to start improving. Now, Atletico Madrid's never an easy game. It's a derby, of course, so we've got to take that into consideration. But I do just think if they are to be there with Barcelona, I think the football needs to improve a little bit. But of course, Benzema coming back is going to change that. Probably their best player last season, and just in general, he's going to change things a little bit. And that's a very good sign because they're already winning football matches. They were the better team here, but it was just made far too easy for them. And yeah, that's pretty much that. Real Madrid fans, Atletico Madrid fans, neutrals, whoever, let me know your thought in the comments down below. What players impressed you? What players disappointed you? What did you think of some of the tactical tweaks that we saw during the game? And do you agree that Real Madrid were worthy winners? And also, do you agree that it was just a little bit too easy for them? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.